I loved you then, I love you now, and I will continue loving you until I can no longer.
You took a part of me until I had nothing left.
The old me had to die so the new me could be reborn.
I didn't deserve that pain. I deserve love, just not from her.
Today, I choose myself.
I wanted to tell you, but you weren't there.
These are the stories that I wish you heard. Streaming weekly episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
If you like this episode, please rate the podcast 5 stars, 6 and take it home. This podcast is a member of Bunk Collective.
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. And this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Okay, let's do this in the proper way kasi matagal-tagal na tayong nagantay. Masyado na tong it's too much. It's Friday. And you know what that means. Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. This is the MT Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Ito na naman tayo, si Maling Hawak. Okay. For this week's podcast, we are going to talk about NXT. Siyempre, may balita tayo from NXT 2.0 and its future. We're going to talk about happenings from AEW 2 since malapit na rin ng Grand Slam next week. Then, basically what happened on pro wrestling this week. Wala tayong masyadong and dapat gagawa ako ng isang special episode for 2.0 pero mukhang dito na tayo magkakaroon ng throwback for NXT 2.0 since they're planning to repackage it as NXT Black and Gold or White and Gold or Black, White and Gold. Kung naman yung tawag nyo dyan, wala ko pake. Ayun. So, first thing foremost, congratulations sa ating friend of the podcast, one of the pioneers of Philippine wrestling for winning the MWF Championship. Congratulations kay Jake De Leon. Alam mo na. We discussed it before and hindi ko nang na-miss nyo yung episode namin ni JDL. Nandiyan naman yun sa description ng episode. Probably dito lang din sa Facebook, sa Instagram o kaya sa Spotify. Papakinggan nyo naman yung episode namin ni Jake De Leon. Andun na yun. So, nagkatotoo. Ayun, again, congratulations kay JDL for that wonderful victory at Road to Fate. Kung gusto nyo mapanood yon, syempre panoorin nyo sa Gank. ganknow.com/Manila Wrestling Fed or kaya sa ManilaWrestling.com. Okay. Bago tayo magpatuloy, syempre, supportan nyo rin ako sa Gank. Wag lang iba. Hindi lang iba. Support us here on Gank. So, you can donate and subscribe to support the podcast on ganknow.com/the MTA Show Pod. As low as $1 a month, you can access to our subscriber-only content. Plus, you can join our discussions and more to come really, really soon. Plus, syempre, supportan nyo kami dito as a whole sa Bank. TheBunkPH.com. You can support us on social media at TheBunkPH. And the podcast is available on all of the podcast platforms and on the podcast app. Okay. Yun yan. So, start tayo with PWI 500. So, in-announce na yung PWI 500 and per-announced earlier in the week that Roman Reigns tops this year's PWI 500. So, ito yung order ha. So, si Roman, si Okada, si CM Punk, si Hangman Page, si Lashley, si Cody, Bryan Danielson, si Vikingo, Triple A, Big E, tsaka si Jonathan Gresham. So, ang basis naman nito, tong PWI, it's more on a kayfabe thing. So, kung ano yung malaking ginawa mo, kayfabe-wise, yun yan. Parang, it's more on a list kayfabe characters. Na, ganun ang PWI. And that's how PWI works. Kaya wag kayo magtaka kung ba't yung favorite nyo hindi pasok sa PWI. Yung 11 to 20 ay pinost ko sa Facebook, I think Facebook, Twitter, ng Facebook, IG pala, ng ating podcast. So, you can check it out on your podcast. On the podcast Facebook page. Tangin, ang dami ko siya. Ayun, check nyo na lang doon. Nandun naman lahat ng list natin for 1 to 20. Nakakalat-kalat naman yung iba pang numbers. 21 to 30, kalat din ngayon. Yeah. So, question. Nagtataka ako, bakit si Seth di man lang umabot sa top 15? Pero okay, it's understandable. It's PWIs lang. Not us. Ayun, gagawa tayo ng sarili nating ganitong list by the end of the year. And i-base natin yon sa 5 promotions na kino-cover natin here on the podcast. Meron din tayong basis dito. So, yung basis naman natin, medyo almost the same as PWI. So, championships, kung ano yung nagawa mo, kung ano yung effect ng popularity mo, at saka syempre yung streak. Yun. So, yun ang factors ng ating MTA Show 500. Din dito MTA Show 500. MTA Show 10 lang. Masyadong mahaba yung 100 at 500. Eh, sasabay natin yun sa final episode natin of the year, which is the Bash Awards 2022. Or yung tinatawag natin the Punk Bash Awards. Marami pa tayong details about that in the next few weeks. Okay? So, continue tayo with NXT. So, in-announce na ng WWE that they're going to rebrand NXT as a whole ulit. So, na-reveal ko sa TikTok noong nakaraang araw na they are restoring the roots of the black and gold. Hindi naman sobrang black and gold, pero it looks like black and gold. So, kung makikita nyo yung logo, nandiyan din sa album art ng ating episode, ay ito ay parang almost the same as the NXT 2.0 logo, but they dropped the rainbow concept colors of the 2.0. But noticeable din na wala na rin yung 2.0 na logo dito sa bagong logo ng NXT. And mas dark ng konti yung kulay yellow kumpara doon sa old NXT logo. Mas dark to ng konti. Kung ito sa akin naman, concept-wise, it's great. 2.0 is great too. Their approach is great. Kung ano yung ginawa ng 2.0 from last year, it's so good. Okay? Pero ito, since babalik na yung 2.0, ay yung NXT na to, Black and Gold, it hits different talaga. It hits different to see na ganito na yung magiging NXT ulit natin. Parang it hits different and it looks different ulit. Pero ito lang, isang pakiusap ko lang. Siguro, ipag-fusion nyo na lang yung naging concept ng 2.0 sa concept ng Black and Gold. Kasi ito yung nag-work sa Black and Gold. Ito rin yung nag-work sa 2.0. So, kung pagsasamahin yung character building plus yung edgier content sa 2.0, then yung non-stop wrestling na mayroon ng black and gold. Man, that's a disaster na maybe we can't predict. And maganda yung program ng 2.0. Pag pinagsama mo talaga ang NXT 2.0 and the black and gold, it's so good. I swear. Hindi, ito, as far as I know, 2 weeks of NXT is being taped or taped na. We're not going to mention all of that here today. Instead, antayin natin mag-air. Okay? Ito. So, yun lang. Simpleng thoughts ko lang. Sana lang yung mga important gimmicks from NXT 2.0, hindi siya mawala. Hindi rin mawala yung booking concept ng 2.0. Sana hindi rin mawala yung effectiveness ng 2.0. Nakikiusap ako, pakibalik na nung takeover specials. Kasi yes, iba yung feels pag takeover and iba rin yung feels ng hindi. Ito, understandable din. Pwede nyo pa din i-retain yung mga shows gaya nung mga weekly or monthly specials. Pwede yun. Pero, pagsamahin nyo na lang. Takeover then this shows type like that. Okay yun. Okay yun sa akin. Wala akong problema dun. It's their product na taas. Okay? Pero sana lang, gawin na nila yung gawin na lang nila yung weekly. And then, events na specials. Tsaka yung monthly specials. Mas okay yun. Kasi yung ginagawa ng AEW na they're concentrating lang sa weekly. Sana i-balance nila yun. Okay? So, meanwhile, let's do some recap on what happened on NXT. So, we got a steel cage match between the Creed brothers and the Pretty Deadly. That was a fantastic steel cage match. And the Creeds lost again to Pretty Deadly. O yan, it's okay match para sa akin. Maganda yung kinalabasan ng match. Pero I'm not hoping kasi na ma-retain. Lalo't nagde-descension ang Diamond Mine. So hindi ako nag-expect na retain talaga. Hindi ako nag-expect na drop. Instead na retain talaga siya in the first place. Tapos, ito pa. So, tanungin ko nga kayo, so, ano yung masasabi nyo kay Quincy Elliott? Quincy Elliott, tama ba pagka-discuss ko? So, ito para sa akin, it's impressive, man. It's so impressive. Na, ayos lang, ibang pakulo lang on their characters. And, sana lang, ito yung mga ganitong characters, gustong-gusto ko to na mag-retain sa NXT branding na parating. Ganito yung mga game nga sa tingin ko mag-shake up kahit paano sa 2.0 at saka sa bagong NXT. Feeling ko magmi-mix to eh. Mag-work yung canon NXT sa current NXT and yung black and gold mag-work siya sa 2.0 na NXT. Vice versa. Ganun lang. Then, okay lang, impressive. Pero ito yung mas impressive. So, si Hank Walker, yung security guard sa NXT. This man really grows on me day by day habang tumatagal nag-air yung NXT. That guy is really growing on me. Parang, and so good. Alam ko na ito yung gimmick position for him. Pero, man, that's really good. Parang ang ganda ng pag-grow ng gimmick niya. It's so good. And losing to winning a match versus a wrestler. It feels so weird at the same time nice. Kasi they're building up a wrestler on that gimmick. So it's good. Effective yun. Then finally, title change. Kaya ako siya hinuli. So solo si Kowa is now your new NXT North American Champion. So para sa akin lang, it's a deserve win. Kailangan na rin ng bagong champion. Si Melo kailangan na din magpunta ng main roster. And sobrang main roster ready na siya. If I'm going to answer the question, is Carmelo Hayes main roster worthy? Yes, absolutely. Sobrang sa tingin ko, ready na siya mag main roster. Wala akong magiging complaints about it. Pero sana malabas na din yung legado sa main roster soon as possible. For sure naman, i-retain naman ni Triple H yung gimmick ng legado. Sure ako doon. Tiwala ko kay Triple H naman. Ito paano. Then yun, so si Solo, he said on Instagram na dadalhin niya yung belt sa SmackDown tomorrow. Sa SmackDown. So yeah, it's so good to everyone, especially in the bloodline. Sana lang si Sami Zayn manalo na siya ng title ulit. Because Sami Zayn needs to win a title. So, ang problema lang, yung titles na nandiyan si Gunter tsaka si Lashley. Tapos, parehas pa silang threats. Sana makuha niya yun 24/7, I swear. Sana makuha niya yun. I know it's Dana Brooks, pero I don't think na gagawin nilang champion si Sami. Kasi sisipain na rin siya palabas ng bloodline. But regardless, it's so good to see bloodline all belts release soon. Sana mag-entrance sila sabay-sabay kasama si Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is a member pa din naman ng bloodline. So yeah, it's so good. So kayo guys, let me know your thoughts about the NXT rebranding on the social media o kaya dito sa Spotify, since I'm going to do a poll here as well. Let me know your thoughts on NXT rebranding. And pupunta tayo sa ating commercial break. But first, let me remind you, may sale po ngayon sa Shopee. So if you want to support the podcast on the Shopee, you can use the link on the description below, podlink.co/6/BHX. Again, that's podlink.co/BHX. We're going to take a break. We're going to talk about main roster shows in the next. So, yun. Let's check our bunkmates here on Punk Collective.
Picture this. Two guys talking about true crime,
weird mysteries,
horror stories,
but the conversation is light
and mostly funny.
And sometimes naughty.
This is Cripsilog,
a Spotify exclusive.
I'm Gideon.
And I'm Glenn. And we're serving huge portions of horror and true crime twice a week.
We'll make sure your cravings are satisfied.
And you'll be begging for more.
Char.
Check us out.
This is Cripsilog, available exclusively on Spotify.
Nag-uulat mula sa shore na kasing pretty ko.
Bringing you the latest and greatest.
And diving deep into the cool waters
of BLs and GLs.
And every kind of love there is.
We are the Shippers.
Sail with us as we watch our favorite queer love stories.
And update you about the latest every week.
Kaya tara, sakay na as we sail the open seas.
With new episodes Mondays and Wednesdays on all major podcast streaming platforms.
Sakay na you. Let's go.
Ayan. So, we're back on the pod. So, let's talk about main roster now in the WWE. Start tayo with SmackDown. So, Brawling Brutes versus Imperium. Man, I swear to God, that was a pretty good opener for SmackDown this week. Yung 3 minutes na clip sa YouTube, kulang yun. If you're going to watch it on the official YouTube channel, kulang yun. Sabihin ko sa inyo, sobrang kulang nun. Panoorin nyo siya in full as soon as possible. Once ma-upload sa WWE Network, man, you guys need to watch that shit. That was so good. Sobrang impressive. Especially Sheamus and Gunter. And at the same time, yung Imperium Boys tsaka yung Brutes, man, if ipagko-combine together, man, end of discussion. That was so good. Para sa akin, ang ganda ng booking nila on the mid-card champions, Lashley and Gunter. Kasi nga, yung pagkawala ni Roman sa picture, it makes the mid-card titles prestigious. No? Yung pagkawala ng world titles, it means pagpasok ng bagong title opportunity para maging active yung IC at saka US belts. So, it's so good. Para sa akin. Para sa akin at least. Para sa akin, goods yun. Then, continue tayo with Ronda. Ronda Rousey is your number 1 contender for the SmackDown Women's title for Extreme Rules, next Premium Live event. So, in 2 weeks, magagawa na naman pala tayo ng predictions. In 2 weeks, gagawa pala tayo ng predictions episode. So, yeah. 2 events yun. So, Extreme Rules and BFG. Another 2 episode. Another 2 events na naman ang ating gagawa ng predictions episode. So, yeah. Yeah. It is Ronda. Hindi totoo yung yung third time sa charm. I love Ronda Rousey, but give Liv Morgan a chance talaga. I swear, WWE. They need to put the belt on Liv for a very long time. Then, ito. So, the main event of SmackDown, Drew McIntyre versus Solo Sikoa. Okay lang. It was so good. Ayos naman siya sa standards ko. Not the best, but the complete icing on the cake here was the appearance of Karrion Kross. For me, Karrion Kross appearing on this, parang ang nakakatakot something. Tapos, as in, parang it reminds me of Undertaker assaulting from behind. And, ayun, sana lang sa match na gagawin nilang dalawa, hindi ganito kay dilim. Ewan ko, sana lang sa mga segments lang ganito kadilim. Pero the match itself, sana hindi ganito kadilim. Kasi sakit sa mata. And the good thing about this is, ito na yung top feud for SmackDown. Since Roman Reigns is not man enough to show up on SmackDown unless this Logan Paul storyline continues. So speaking of Logan Paul, let's talk about it. Konti lang. So pinagtawanan ni Logan Paul sila Roman and the Bloodline sa kanilang episode of Impulsive. So si Paul Heyman, si Roman ata o si Paul Heyman, nag-tweet about Logan Paul. Nag-reply, once they left daw, they're running their mouths. So, si Paul Heyman, sumagot sa tweet na yun ni Roman, and si Triple H nagsabi na he will welcome Logan Paul on tomorrow's SmackDown to address Roman Reigns. So, they're using the Impulsive episode to build the story. And I think magkukontinue yun until Crown Jewel. Tagal pa naman. So, yun. It's gonna be a long build pa naman. Mga almost 40 days? 45? Something? So, it's so good. Then, ayun. Let's continue with the title change ulit. So, Io Sky and Dakota Kai won the women's tag team titles. Man, they really deserve it. Wala akong masabi. They really deserve the titles. Sana lang ganito yung nangyari kung na finals pa lang, sana ganito na yung nangyari. Since sila yung pinaka-over right now when it comes to the women's division and the tag team women's division. Sila yung pinaka-over. So, Io Sky, Dakota winning the belts really makes sense to me. Yan. So, let's continue with Judgment Day. So, they assaulted Edge during the match between Edge and Dominic Mysterio. So, the reason for that, according to their chats, is si Edge may limited schedule. So, they have to take him out for now. And, ayun, mukhang doon na matatapos yung storyline between Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Judgment Day. So, mukhang doon na siya matatapos. For now. Then, eto, gusto ko sabihin sa inyo, man. If you want to watch a match this week, you should watch Gargano's first match in few months versus Chad Gable versus Ed. But I must say that was a pretty good match. Okay? So, parang ganda na ito. Yung promo ni KO, man, that was amazing. Top notch. Chef's kiss, I swear. That was a pretty solid promo by KO. Then they're going to have a match next week. Tapos, ano pa? Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis is back on TV. And they're shitting Miz right now. So, mahaba-haba pang build to. Tong Logan Paul na naman. So, tong Dexter Lumis, tsaka kay Miz, mahaba-haba pa to for sure. Then, Gargano Gable, for me, this was may main event kasi wala na naman masyadong nangyari. And aside sa assault ng Judgment Day. Ayan. That was amazing. You guys need to watch this shit. Sa mga manonood sa TV, feeling ko kulang pa yun sa inyo. Kaya as soon as possible, watch it in the full. Hindi nyo malilimutan na you guys watch it. Para sa akin, that was a memorable moment. And for me, hindi ko siya i-regret na napanood ko yun. Man, that was so good. That was so good. Sobrang slick niya for me. Ayun. So, let's talk about AEW now since the third half of this episode will be a NXT Retro. NXT 2.0 Retro pala. So, first. So, the finals of the Tournament of Champions is gonna be Bryan Danielson versus John Moxley for the AEW title next week on Grand Slam Dynamite. So, Mox defeated Sammy Guevara and Jericho was defeated by Bryan Danielson on the episode. So, yeah, that was good. Itong Jericho Danielson, I think, mas okay to kaysa doon sa match ng All Out. 100% mag-agree ako doon. And mas maganda yung naging execution nitong match versus the All Out one. Hindi ko siya kaya malimutan. Yung kay Mox at kay Sammy, ano ba? Actually, it's a B for me. B lang. Saktong B. Yun, then the firm, ito yung stable nila MJF. So, the members is Stokely Holloway, then Ethan Page, The Gun Club, si Moriarty, and si W. Morrissey. Sinabi ni Stonk dito na yung stable, parang ano lang to parang gamit na panty. Kumbaga, gagamitin lang sila pag kailangan. Pero, magkasama-sama lang sila pag kinakailangan. O, kung hindi naman, iba-iba sila ng mission. Iba-iba sila ng ganap. Like si Morrissey, gagawin niya kahit ano. Si Moriarty, whatever. Then siya sa Pure. Tama ba? Pure ba? O sa Atlantic? Whatever. Then the Guns Tag Titles, yung si Ethan Page sa... Saan nga sinabi ng putang yan? Nakalimutan ko. Nakalimutan ko yung promo. But yeah, bitin ako the promo. Pero hindi ko siya pwede munang i-act as a... Ayun, nag-ground bigla yung mic ko. So, cut ko na lang yun. Ang sakit sa tenga. Putik. Ayun. So, continue tayo with the firm nga. So, yun the firm, parang pag kailangan lang ni MJF sa kanya gagamitin. Probably next week magagamit niya yun. Then, ayun, basically, that's the firm to you. or to all of us here on the show. So, let me know your thoughts on the film on social media at the FT Show Pod. Okay? So, ako, pwede ko sabihin. Let's do the predictions muna ng AEW Grand Slam. Konti lang to. So, first, we got Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Man, the last time these two fuckers faced each other, that was so good for me. Okay? So, this one, I'm going to give this. So, Pac. But, umaasa pa rin ako na magkakaroon ng title si OC. Then, ayun. So, Tony Storm, Serena D, Britt Baker, and Athena for the interim AEW Women's title. For me, ito naman, ang gusto ko dito, I'm still hoping na mag-retain si Tony Storm. But, si Athena, she needs to win, man. Sobrang talunan niya since she debuted in AEW. Wala ako ganong nakikitang nanalo siya. So, they have to deal it with, so, kailangan si Tony Storm yung manalo. No? Then, so, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed for the tag titles. Man, no doubt. They have to give this to the Acclaimed. They need to capitalize the overness of this group or this tag team. They need to win the tag titles. And for me naman, si Swerve at si Keith Lee, they don't need, parang hindi nila kailangan ng titles para may masabi o may pagbalakas sila. For me, they don't need titles na tags. They don't. Kung mid-card titles at least, for example, All Atlantic o kaya yung TNT, pwede. Pero, tags, no. They don't need this. Then, the main event, Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. Mox, magbakasyon ka na. Sana matalo ka na. Ayun, so Bryan Danielson needs the win dito. Walang heel turn between BCC and MJF. Danielson needs to be set up after ng match ito, for sure. Sana malagay ni TK yung fate niya kay Danielson. Try nila na magkaroon ulit ng champion. Yan. So yeah, it's Danielson. Danielson to, para sa akin. Yeah, Danielson. Yun lang, yung ating all out. Yung Dynamite Grand Slam predictions. Let me know your preds on the socials ng podcast. So, yeah. Yun lang. We're going to do a throwback episode. We're going to talk about NXT 2.0. But first, let me remind you na may sale din sa Lazada. So, lahat ng bagay, lahat ng pwede mong gawin o pwede mong bilhin ay nasa Lazada yan. So, to support the podcast on Lazada, you can use my affiliate link podlink.co/6gs. Again, that's podlink.co/6gs. Ayun, we're going to take another commercial break. The NXT 2.0 retro tayo. And let's check our bunkmates here on Bunk Collective.
Bakit mabaho ang utot?
Lulubog na ba ang Pilipinas?
Mahihayin ba ang makahiya? Bakit bumabagyo sa Pinas?
Mga katanungang bumabagabag sa kaisipan ni Juan. Halika, bigyan natin ng mga siyentipikong kasagutan. Ito ang inyong gurong lakan mula sa Bulacan, Sir Red. At ito ang Hainay na Tagham The Podcast Year 2. Pakinggan sa lahat ng major podcast streaming platforms. Tara, matuto, magsaliksik, magkaroon ng dagdag na kaalaman. Haynayan, magpakailanman.
Hey everyone, this is Mo Twister and you're listening to the Kingdom Podcast with the voice DJ Yuki.
That was the OG, Mo Twister, promoting this podcast. If you like Korean pop culture, or know someone who does, then get into it and visit our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages at the Kingdom Pod PH.
We're proud to tell you that this is one of the premier shows to go to for your weekly dose of K-pop. So drop everything and listen to the Kingdom Podcast. Available in all your podcast streaming platforms. Join us!
Ayun. So, we're back on the podcast. So, yeah. Let me know your thoughts for AEW Grand Slam on our podcast platforms at THEMTGSHOWPOD. So, pagpasensya nyo nga pala yung boses ko. Yung boses ko medyo hindi siya ganong okay. Ewan ko yung nangyari dito. To be honest, parang tingin nyo yung kahapon, yung TikTok ko kahapon. Hindi siya ganong okay. So, if hindi kayo impressed on my voice, sorry about that. Papagaling ako. For sure. Kailangan ko magpagaling. No? So, ito. Let's do a retro episode of the pod portion. Well, dito ATD, it's just a retro episode, retro portion. Gusto ko lang throwback about NXT 2.0 and I'm really impressed on NXT 2.0. Ito, sabihan ko kayo, NXT 2.0, one of my favorite things in NXT chronology. Hindi man siya kagandahan, pero I think andon pa din yung naging purpose nitong brand. Developmental brand siya, yes, will always be. And quote and quote, the third brand of the company. For me, it works pa din naman as a third brand. Hindi man siya yung kagaya ng Black and Gold, but sometimes they don't miss. And NXT 2.0 really proved na they are one of the brands that we should look forward. And tong NXT 2.0, never tayong dinismaya nito. And never akong nadismaya. May times man na medyo na-upset ako about their booking, about their some stuff na kailangan nila din ayusin pagdating ng NXT na parating na ito, black, yellow, and gold, whatever. Kailangan nilang ayusin yon pagka nag-upisa na yung live ulit sa October. For sure, October yun mag-upisa. Hindi, sinabi ko sa TikTok na September 27, pero hindi pa to sa September 27. Mag-start lang yon pagka nag-live na ulit ang NXT. So, it's October. Okay? Eto. Let's do our talks here now. So, gimmicks. Let's talk about best gimmick of the 2.0. So, ito meron tayong parameters dito. Hindi ko na isasama mga gimmicks na nag-umpisa na sa Black and Gold last year. Hindi ko na siya isasama. Ang atin lang isasama is yung mga gimmicks was introduced sa 2.0 or matches na na-introduce na sa 2.0 or yung superstars na nag-debut under this 2.0 format. Yan. Start tayo, best gimmick. Woman muna ako. I'm going to give the woman best gimmick for woman. Definitely Wendy Chu. Yes. Sobrang unique ng gimmick na yon para sa akin. Hindi man siya yung Orange Cassidy levels. Pero Orange Cassidy always be on top for me. Pero meron akong soft position or soft place in my heart kay Wendy Chu because sobrang ganda ng pag-execute niya doon sa gimmick. And I don't think na kaya siyang i-replicate o kaya siyang ipa-replicate kay OC. And I don't think na comparable nga siya kay OC. Sa totoo lang. Comparable siya kasi tamad. Antukan. Yung gimmick niya, puro kama. Kaya pa choosy. Ganyan. Pero sa totoo lang, si Wendy Chu, the gimmick was so amazing. I'm impressed on the gimmick. And that gimmick change really gave me hopes na magkakaroon siya ng magandang direction sa NXT 2.0. And yun, sobrang popular and sobrang ano niya sa akin. Then, let's talk about the men. Best gimmick of 2.0 when it comes to men. Definitely Tony D. Tony D'Angelo. Alam nyo tong gimmick na to ni Tony D'Angelo, parang it will always be on top tong dadangan of NXT. He retired 2 guys in NXT, Ciampa and Escobar. And for me, sobrang ganda na ng record na yun ni Tony D. No? And he doesn't need to prove himself pa. He does. Kailangan niya pa mag-prove. Pero as what we're seeing, parang it hits different. O kung ano man yun nangyari sa gimmick revolution niya. Maganda yun naging gimmick revolution niya. Para sa akin at least. Then, best match of 2.0. Ito. Pay-per-view wise or events wise, pwede ko sabihin yung Dolph versus Braun versus Ciampa. The match is really unpredictable. Kala ko Braun will win. Pero it goes to Dolph Ziggler NXT 2.0 really hits different. Sobrang ganda nun. Then, ano pa ba? Matches pa. Syempre, itong nangyari nito lang, Worlds Collide kay Ricochet tsaka kay Melo. And that was so good. And it hits different and hits the right spot pagka pinag-uusapan natin yung match ng dalawa. On the other hand, pag pinag-uusapan natin ng 2.0, hindi rin pwede mawala yung improvement ni Mandy Rose and syempre the toxic attraction as a whole. So, yeah, I love it. Best gimmick din pala to when it comes to 2.0 ha. Kasi the gimmick, it's really working for me. So, yun, toxic attraction. One of the best gimmick of the 2.0. Worst gimmick. Basic. Tony. It's not Tony D. Worst gimmick of 2.0. Dalawa yun naiisip ko. It's si Von Wagner. Kasi sobrang mid niya as in, hindi natin maintindihan kung ano yung gimmick niya. And so syempre, Chase U. Yung Chase U gimmick, ewan ko kung bakit ganon. Parang ang kalat. Sana ma-fix yun. Okay, i-ditch na lang. Kailangan alisin na lang kung hindi man sobrang effective ng gimmick. So yeah, Chase U, one of the worst gimmicks of Black and Gold or 2.0. Ayun. So, best superstar. It's very obvious. So, Braun Breaker, easy. Kasi, sobrang amazing nung run niya. Carmelo Hayes, +1. Kasi, as in, parang he really worked on the 2.0 format. Mandy Rose, yung revolution niya, I love it. Sobrang nagustuhan ko yun. Si Nikita Lyons din, man, okay lang. Tsaka sino pa bang isa? Tony D. Tony D on 2.0, man, that was so good. Ayun, ano yung main roster appearance sa 2.0 na nagustuhan ko? It's so easy. Gusto ko yung appearance ni AJ Styles for some reasons. Siyempre yung kay Dolph din. Meron ding isang portion sa akin na nagustuhan ko yung appearance ni AJ Styles. Siyempre kay Dolph di mawawala yun. Yung kay Natty gusto ko din. Kasi Natty having a match versus Cora Jade. Man, that was so good. And yun, finally, things to bring on the NXT 2.0. Yung mga bagay na galing sa 2.0, nadadalhin nila sa 3.0. Rather, to sa bagong NXT. Number 1, they should bring the gimmick customization, yung mga ganitong type of gimmicks din, kagaya nila Wendy Chu, nila Tony D. Yung pagiging unique sa gimmick mo, they should bring it to the NXT. Na to, ng bagong NXT, they should continue this type of NXT. Kasi yun na nag-work. Nag-click siya sa tao and mag-work out siya sa tao. Number 2, things to bring to is yung edgy stories na nagawa ng 2.0. Kasi, man, sobrang edgy ng stories. Nagmukhang 2.0 nagmukhang black and gold tong 2.0. Yung mga edgy shit na dapat ay nasa black and gold, nadala dito sa 2.0. So, I wish na dalhin ulit nila to, i-retain nila. Number 3, ano pa ba? They need to less the weekly, yung monthly, kailangan nila bawasan yon. And instead, kailangan nila mag-focus sa specials. Medyo i-balance din nila with the weekly. Yung AEW, hindi nila balance yung weekly, tsaka yung specials, tsaka yung Dynamite specials. Sana wag nyo gawin yung ginagawa ng AEW. Okay? Then, finally, number 4, drop Braun Breaker's NXT title. So, as possible, Braun Breaker is not working for me. It works for everyone, but maybe not for me. Yun lang masasabi ko. So, kung may gusto kayong sabihin about this retro episode, let me know. Podcast platforms or doon sa Spotify. Meron naman tayo dyan question. And you can join our discussions on the social platforms and sa Gank, pwede din. So, yun, picks of the week. Let's do our picks of the week. So, superstar ko was Braun Strowman. The woman of the week is Roxanne Perez. The match of the week was Roxanne versus Meiko Satomura. That was so good. Okay? So, yun. Again, thank you for listening on this week's episode of the podcast. Sensya na sa alalamunan ko, medyo kinapos. Medyo kinakapos ako ngayon. Kasi masama yung lagay ng lalamunan ko. Parang magkakaroon ako ng sore throat. Then ayun, regardless, follow me on social media at the MTG Show Pod on all the social media platforms at the MTG Show Pod. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. Syempre, search nyo lang the MTG Show Podcast. You can donate and support the podcast on ganknow.com/the MTG Show Pod. As low as $1 a month, you can access our subscriber-only content. Plus, you can join our discussions and more to come. Really, really soon. Gagawa tayo ng mailbag probably next month. Ayun. So, for more podcasts, visit thebunkph.com and you can join our collective. You can follow us on the collective, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at the Bunk PH. You can join our Discord community sa Bunk BSC and dsc.gg/bunk. Ayun, dsc.gg/bunk. Then, the MTG Show Podcast is a Bunk Collective podcast and it's available on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and the rest of the podcast platforms and on the podcast app. All of the links related to the podcast is available on our linktr.ee/the MTG Show Podcast. And of course, please support our local wrestling scene, especially MWF. Mag-upload na pala ng MWF clips from the Road to Fate. Full episodes yan. And full Road to Fate will be uploaded next week. So, supportahan natin ang MWF on ganknow.com/Manila Wrestling Fed or ManilaWrestling.com. Okay? So, yun, social media ko at AG Penera on Twitter and IG. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. for our episode number 126. In cooperation with Bank Collective, I want to thank DJ Yuki for everything, for the help and support here on the podcast, of course. And to our friends, to our listeners, syempre, dito sa Bank Collective, thank you very much for supporting this podcast and supporting Bank Collective as a whole. So yeah, in behalf of everyone here in the bank, want to say thank you, stay safe, stay raso. See you on the next episode of the MTG Show podcast. Bye bye.